I believed this lie about learning for years, and it cost me thousands of hours of my time. Because to be honest, before I discovered the learning tool that I'm going to share with you in this video, I'd get really excited learning about new topics, especially ones related to personal development, business, and spirituality. But after finishing these resources, I realized that I'd actually forgot most of what I learned. Did you know that within 1 hour, most people forget 50% of the information that they learn? And that number increases to 70% within 24 hours, and within 1 week, most people forget 90% of the information that they consumed. This is known as the forgetting curve, and in this short video, we're going to explore the number one learning myth that keeps us forgetting. And I'll also introduce to you a learning tool that you can begin to apply immediately that will allow you to save time and money as you learn new things. Years ago, I got really interested in personal development and spirituality, and I started reading a lot more books. And every time I read a new book or consumed a new piece of content that was educational in some way, I felt like I was making progress in my life, that I was learning, that I was growing. But years went by and my life would basically stay the same. I wasn't really making a whole lot of progress. I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And I wasn't really changing my behavior in any meaningful way based on the knowledge that I was acquiring. I was taking in a lot of knowledge, but I wasn't applying it. I realized that this was because of a subconscious belief that I probably picked up from the educational system growing up, which was that learning is all about acquiring knowledge and nothing more. And even though I knew theoretically that I need to be applying what I learned to get the results that I want, my brain was still just hooked on this idea of just gaining more information, gaining more knowledge. This was sort of the way that I would get this hit of dopamine and this feeling that I was making progress. But the thing is, this is a bit like having a cookbook but never cooking a meal. You know all the recipes, but you've never actually taken the time to pick a recipe and actually cook it and see what happens. So I want to share with you a tool that has really helped me apply what I learn. And that is to carry around a little notebook like this wherever I go. This is a notebook I always take with me, especially when I'm learning. So let's say I'm reading a book, or I'm studying a course, or maybe I'm in a lecture or whatever. I have this notebook with me so that as I'm reading and I'm getting new insights, getting new ideas, if I come across an idea that feels like, wow, this is something actually significant, this is something that I could apply into my life, what I do is I immediately write it down into my notebook. I make sure that I actually save it so that it doesn't just get forgotten, which usually happens if you don't write it down. Next to the insight, I'll write an action step for how I'm gonna really tangibly put this insight into action in my own life. Now that doesn't mean I'm always gonna remember to take that action, or I'm always gonna feel like that's actually a good action to take, but I write it down regardless because it saves it for myself, for my future self basically. After I finish the book, I have like a whole list of different action steps, action items that I could take based on what I learned. This makes it feel like I've got a lot more value out of the book that I read. And not only that, it actually helps you retain the knowledge more effectively. Get yourself one of these physical notebooks that you can write down your insights into. Then, as you're learning and you come across ideas or you have a new insight, you want to write them down into this notebook, as well as note a behavior change or an action step that you can take based on that insight. Lastly, apply that action step as quickly as possible. This is really important because of the law of diminishing intent. It's the idea that the longer you wait to act on your intentions, the less likely you are to actually follow through on them. The initial excitement and motivation to act tends to fade over time, which decreases the likelihood that you'll ever take the intended action. Make sure you take action as quickly and swiftly as possible. So that's all for this video. If you got value out of it, give it a like. And if you're passionate about mastering learning, boosting your productivity, and building a future-proof life, consider subscribing to this channel. With each video, my aim is to provide you actionable tools and tips that you can use that will help you build skills that become more and more valuable over time. Subscribe to the channel and stay ahead of the curve.